If you told me 3 years ago that I was going to climb Kilimanjaro, I would have absolutely not believed you. Because 3 years ago, about, what are we on? The 22nd of January. 9 days ago in January, 3 years ago, I was watching my mother die in a live video because I had COVID. She had been diagnosed in 2020 during lockdown with lung cancer. And whilst we thought it was cured, we had noticed some forgetful moments and some delirious moments, and unfortunately it had gone to her brain. After that, during that year of 2021, 10 months later, her husband passed away, and it really was like a storybook. You know, when you read about people that die of a broken heart, well, he died of a broken heart. And if I didn't witness it with my own eyes, I would never have believed it, and I honestly would have thought that it stayed in a storybook. But he died of a broken heart. That same year, my divorce came through, and it was somebody that I had fallen in love with when I was 20 years old, and it was a fairy tale that unfortunately went terribly wrong. So let me go back to 2014. I had fallen pregnant, and I had married the man of my dreams. I think it was 17 years later after I'd met him. And we were about 12 weeks in when you do all those testings, and unfortunately the doctor had said that her corpus callosum, which for any of you that are non-academic like me, it's the sac between the left and the right side of the brain, was not growing, and it only grows during pregnancy. And it had not developed as to where it was, which meant that there was going to be potential disability. We were then referred to a fetal specialist, and it was a Friday afternoon, and he had said to us that, you know, we should consider termination. We are both exceptionally positive people. We spent the weekend crying. But on that Monday morning, we had decided that our faith and our positivity would carry us through, and that this corpus callosum, the sac between the left and the right side of the brain, would continue to grow during pregnancy. Needless to say, pregnancy was a little bit tougher the second time round for me. And she was born, and 4 months into it, she was not corresponding. She wasn't looking like normal 4-month-old babies. And the bomb was dropped that she had agenesis of the corpus callosum. And the journey then began for the two of us, or should I say the three of us. So her name's Talia. She's now 9.5 years old, and she is fully disabled, I would say. She's visually impaired, which means that she can see things. So when she does crawl, she's unable to walk. She doesn't crawl into anything, but she won't know that what's in front of her is what it is. So she won't crawl into the table, but she won't know that it's a table. There are certain things that she does know exists as it should be, like a bottle. She'll pick it up and she'll know that it's something that she drinks out of. I can stand at her gate in front of her bedroom, and she will know that someone is there, but until I speak, she won't know that I'm her mother. She is an absolute ray of sunshine. She hardly ever moans. She can't chew. We would feed her as you would a 6-month-old baby. She can't talk. She does moan, but she moans with delight. We do know when she's hungry, because she will let us know through her moans and groans, but most of the time she smiles, and you will know when she wants you around because she's just full of smiles. She's absolutely our family's earth angel. So unfortunately, during 5 years, her first 5 years, sleep deprivation was a real thing. I now know why it's one of the first forms of torture back in the wars or wherever else people do that. Don't try it at home. And unfortunately with that, you know, it becomes a struggle in relationships. And moving on from that and sleep deprivation, I think one of the hardest things was navigating my relationship with my ex-husband at the time, because everybody needs to sleep, we need to cope, and we both had full-time jobs, and I had another daughter that I needed to make sure was important and go to school. However, in 2017, my best friend at the time of 23 years was also traveling a journey of cancer, and after about 6 years of battling it, she was really at a bad place. And I don't know if any of you have an amazing friend that you speak to every single day. It doesn't need to be a friend, it could even be a family member, and you get to depend on those voice notes and those telephone calls. And in 2017, I had flown up to her house. I live in Durban, South Africa. I used to be Cape Townian. She still lives in Cape Town, or she used to live in Cape Town. And I went to go and visit her, and it was the November of 2017, and she was bad. I came prepared. I actually thought that she was going to be on her last, and I had spent a few days with her, and the last night we were literally, I thought it was the last time I was going to see, and I needed to get back home. And I was doing the red-eye flight, and we were lying next to each other, hand in hand, and we were discussing the fact that when she goes, I would want a tattoo to remember her by, and what would that be? And she had said to me, a butterfly, because they metamorphosize, they grow, they evolve, and it's something that she would always want for me. I actually do have a tattoo. It was my first tattoo, and I was freaking sore. I decided to put it on my foot, you know, being the tattoo amateur that I am. So I left. Sorry, it wasn't November, it was the October. I left her house, and in the couple of weeks following that, actually, she had a blood transfusion, and she became perkier, and I was so happy. I had then planned a flight back to Cape Town for the 26th of December, just after Christmas. However, a couple of weeks later, on the 31st of October, 2017, we had a horrible house invasion, and it was early hours of the morning, and our dog, the boxer, was very, very unsettled, and I had said to my husband at the time, you know, what's going on? Like, it was about 4 o'clock in the morning, and he had said to me he had taken her out, but she's still unsettled, he doesn't know why. I had got up, I went to the toilet, I switched the light off. Well, as I was about to switch the light off, I turned to look at the window because the dog was staring at the window, and I'd seen this face. And as I looked at this face, it was a window that's kind of, you know, snowy. I don't know what else word to use. But I looked, and I could see this frame of a face, and I looked at the face and I said, hey, what are you doing? And the face disappeared, and I looked at my husband, and I'd said to him, I just saw a face. And he had said to me, just calm down. And I said, no, we need to contact the security. And we live at a house very close to a security boom. We have We don't really have much burglar bars at our lounge, but we do have burglar bars on some of our windows. And I had said to him, like, let's contact the security group in our neighborhood. And he said, no, we don't need to do that. Don't panic. I'll go outside and look. And I said, don't be silly. Don't go outside and look. That's ridiculous. Let's just wait. Let's contact the group. And while we were debating this for about 8 minutes or whatever the case might be, things were quiet, and he had put on his trainers, and we decided that we were going to look. We got the 2 girls in the room. At the time, my little one was 2.5, 3 years old, and my eldest was about 10. And so we walked down the passage, we opened our security door, and we went into the lounge. But as we opened that security door and we entered the lounge, he had a baseball bat because we play softball. We're both softball players, so it's natural for us to have a softball bat in our room. And as he entered the lounge, he could see 2 people standing at the window. And he literally turned around and he'd said to me, he shouted, he said, get back down the passage. And I don't know what else he said. I just remember that. And I ran down the passage to the girls that were now sitting in our bedroom, and he followed. We don't know what happened to the dog. Well, we do now. At the time, we didn't know what happened. The dog got into the garden, obviously through the people that opened the lounge doors. And he then locked the security door. It was just a normal door. It didn't have a security gate. He ran down the passage and he locked our bedroom door, which is exactly the same door as the security door. As he locked that door, it took about 30 seconds for that security, well, actually it's not a security door. It's just a normal passage door. It took about 30 seconds for that door to be broken down. He then put his foot in front of our bedroom door and the baseball bat that he leaned against that door, because these 2 people had started banging our door, and they banged and they banged. And he turned around, my husband turned around at the time and said to me, shout for help. And whilst I was shouting for help, I was on the group saying help, and I was giving our address out. Obviously, at that time, it was just after 4 in the morning, so, you know, who's awake at that time of the morning? And I wasn't quite sure if the security was linked to that group at the time. So this was going on. I had like a room attached to my bedroom, which was like a walk-in closet, office kind of scenario. And my 2 girls, my eldest daughter was carrying my youngest daughter, who was obviously, you know, she's disabled, she's special needs, she doesn't have a clue, but my eldest daughter would have an idea what's happening. She's 10 years old. And I went to the back room, and there was a window in this room, and I thought to myself, let me shout through this window, because hopefully, just one moment, let me have a sip of my green tea. I thought, if I shout through this window, the security guys are going to be able to hear me, surely. And that's all I'd been doing, is just shouting, please help, 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 please help. And my eldest daughter turned around and said to me, Mommy, get away from the window. He may have a gun. And you know, when you have this moment of almost silence in chaos, that's what it felt like. It felt like a moment of absolute silence, and I was almost confused by it. It was like something that penetrates you, where you have clarity. And I looked at her and I said, yes. And the next minute, all 3 of us left that room and went back to the bedroom. And I then went to the side of my bed. I went to that window where there was a burglar bar, and I shouted, help, 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 hoping that one of the neighbors would hear us. And somebody at the window, a very calm voice, it was a guy, one of the guys turned around and said, be quiet. I will never forget that voice, I think, as long as I live. I'm not reminded by it all the time, but I will never forget about it when I think about it. 19 minutes passed, and I started to hear alarms going off. Our neighbors had obviously activated their alarms. And when those alarms started going off, this then moved these people off our property. They had got into my car, they'd reversed down the driveway, and they left our property. 19 minutes later, they had left. We were stuck in our bedroom for 19 minutes. Now for me, faith comes in because that door of our bedroom did not move. They could not break that door down. The exact door that was down our passage. For me, that's incredible. When they removed both doors the next day to replace them, the guy that removed those doors had said that the passage door was more damaged than our bedroom door. And they tried for numerous amount of minutes trying to get into our bedroom door. After that moment in time, I can't tell you how protected I felt. I was also exceptionally surprised at the things that you say to your children. Sometimes you think that they don't resonate, but they do. I had found my daughter in the shower with my little one holding her, singing her favorite song, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. And I'd said to her, "What are you doing in the shower?" And she had said to me, "You always told me that if I was in danger, the best place to be is to be away from windows, and there's no window in the shower." And so whatever seed we're planting, it's there. Sometimes we think that they don't take anything in, but they actually do. So the house break-in happened. That was on the 31st of October. Our dog was exceptionally traumatized. We got another boxer because that's what the vet suggested. That little boxer, his name was Jack. Unfortunately, 2 weeks later, he was stolen through our gate. And then early December, after I was doing a sideline job, I had had a little argument with my 10-year-old about going to bed on time, as you do. And I'd felt really, really dizzy. And I was at my cupboard. It was about 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. And I'd almost fainted. And I felt like I was having a bit of a panic attack. And I went to the doctor the next day, and the doctor had suggested that I had all the symptoms for adrenal fatigue. I'd contacted my bosses at the time, and they had said to me that it's December. In South Africa, most places shut down unless you're in the hospitality industry, and that I should take a break. They knew exactly what had been happening in the last couple of months. I had asked them if it would be okay if I could see my friend and go down to Cape Town to visit her. This was the 13th of December. They said absolutely. I then planned the trip, and on the 17th of December, I arrived in Cape Town the exact day that she was admitted into hospital. Remember, I'd originally booked my flight for the 26th of December. On the 23rd of December, 2017, my best friend, Carol, passed away. It felt like half my heart was ripped out. I can't even imagine people losing children or partners. Just can't even begin to go there because the pain was excruciating. The months that followed were hard, and it took me on a very different journey, because being the forever optimist, my whole life, I had a very, very different view on people that got depressed. My attitude is always, just put on your big panties and get on with life, and, fake it till you make it. But I had experienced some kind of depression, and along with sleepless nights and a husband that started to drink a lot, along with the after effects of a house break-in, the death of a friend, and having to get up and go to work every single day and show up, because I was running a branch that had about 150 people in the program, 16 staff members, and a responsibility to them. You do have to show up. It was hard, but every step that I took, it brings about some kind of resilience. I moved into 2018. Life moved on. Some things were good. But there was a lot of potholes and a lot of mountains to climb. Not quite the mountain I eventually climbed, but it was most certainly preparing me. Lockdown happened in 2020, and my little daughter's carer was forced to stay with us because nobody was allowed to move. And that forced me into a whole new life, because that meant she had to stay, and that meant I started to have full night's sleep. So did my ex-husband at the time too, so I know life for him was hard too. I'd already asked him for a divorce. We were stuck together for a certain time. I then moved out, and my mother was diagnosed with cancer. 2021, she had passed away. And I'd started my journey alone with my 2 girls. And so even though the years go by, and even though the months go by, when you have a wound, it doesn't heal itself overnight. There's a lot of care that needs to take place. There's a lot of love that needs to take place. And I can honestly say that I had accumulated a tribe, or God had given me people that had become a tribe, that had picked me up and supported me and had started to help me heal so many wounds. And so in 2022, in June specifically, I had decided that it was time that my mind was ready to lose all this weight that I had gained. People get involved in different addictions, and comfort eating, I would say, is probably an addiction too. It's filling a void, and that's what I was doing. And I rocked up at this gym, and I knew that I couldn't join classes at the time. I actually needed an accountability partner, because I'm just the type of person that I wouldn't want to let one person down. And I had walked in and I had said to this guy, Denver, from Get Fit Gym, I'd said to him, "Hi, my name's Tanya, and I want to do personal training sessions with you, but really what I want to do is I want to do it for my mind, and my body, well, that's great." And he looked at me and he said, "Okay, well, we'll do an assessment on your body." And I said, well, I'm here for my mind. And he said, "No, well, we still need to do an assessment for your body." And I said, "Oh, okay." And so the journey started that really took me one more step closer to Kilimanjaro. But at the time, I would never even dreamed that I was ready. I had done very, very little exercise for an extremely long period of time because of all the demands of life, which I'm sure so many of you can relate to that. When life takes control of you and you don't take control of life, you drown. And I was drowning. I wouldn't admit it. If you'd seen me, maybe I'd convinced you otherwise. But I was drowning. And so I started this journey. I went to gym twice a week, and eventually maybe 3 times. And then I walked in between. And 6-7 months down the line, I started to slowly lose weight. I didn't do it fast because I wasn't willing to go on a diet. I just wasn't willing to add too many things to an already long to-do list. And so I would change small things. I'd go from white bread to sourdough. I'd go from white wine to red wine. Maybe if I drank vodka and lemonade, I started to drink, yes, forgive me, a shot of tequila and Coke Zero. So there were small things that I would do, but I just refused to not give up my wine because it would just be one more thing that I would be asked to give up, and I'd already given up so much, and I just wasn't prepared to do that. And here I am, as I entered early 2022. I actually can't believe it. It's 2023. We're in 2024. A year ago, I entered 2023 with this idea that I want to climb Kilimanjaro because it's something I wanted to do in my late 20s, but it was an idea. It wasn't a reality. And I thought to myself, I don't know, I think I'm ready in my mind. I think I'm ready in my body. And I want to do something that takes me out of my comfort zone. But yes, out of my comfort zone, but I'm ready to explore more of what's inside of me. Like, what is there that I haven't discovered? And I don't know if this mountain's going to give that to me, but I'm willing to try to find out. So it took me another 2-3 months before I actually announced it because I didn't quite believe. And then I paid my deposit, and I had to believe because I wasn't willing to lose the money. And then I really, really started to dig in. And so I had a couple of people that hiked with me, and Denver continued to help train me. And the mountain happened. Climbed the mountain. I summited that mountain on the 1st September, which was the most incredible experience. And I had realized through that experience that when I had summited, when I got to the very top, that yes, we have a goal. We all have goals, things that drive us. But I think my greatest learning from that mountain was that the process, the journey to the mountain is probably the most important. Because without the journey, without the learning of the journey, if that journey is not going to give me a learning, it's not going to give me a process, it's not going to give me self-discovery, then I'm not sure that goal's worth it. And that journey gave me so much more than I wished for. And so here are the things that I learned. Number 1, resilience. Resilience sometimes seems like a very negative word, and it can be, because I don't want the universe to continue to throw shit at me so that I can build resilience. But it has, and I have built resilience. But I also want to build resilience organically, and I want to do so by finding things and going to do things out of my comfort zone. Fun things, scary things, but fun. I can build resilience that way. But I built it in a way that got me to that mountain. This mountain for you could be metaphoric. The second thing I learned was my attitude, is that having a good attitude, a positive attitude, meant that I could get up and show up and be who I wanted to be, even on days when I didn't want to be. That attitude changed everything around me, the way people saw me, the way people interacted with me, even the people I attracted into my life. My attitude was key. I built my tribe. I built people around me that helped me just by my attitude. Last but not least was my faith. My faith has grown so much that I get so emotional about it because I'm actually so grateful. I'm so grateful because I realized that without my faith, I am capable not of nothing, because we're all capable of something. But without my faith, I am nowhere near capable of my true potential. And when I climbed that mountain, when I was there on day 3, when I could finally see the top of Kilimanjaro, I looked up and I thought to myself, how the am I getting up? How am I going to the top of that mountain? And I realized I didn't need to do it on my own. That with God by my side, I can do absolutely everything and so much more. And so now, as I go along and as I step into everything that I do, I know I'm no longer alone. And so that was my journey to getting to Kilimanjaro. It may have taken me 12 years, but it was worth every step.